everybody, my name is Angel and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. If you're new here, welcome and I hope you stick around. As you saw in the title, today's video is going to be about a drama called 12 Years Promise, alternately known as Wild Chives and Soybean Soup 12-Year Reunion. Why that's what it's called, I'm not really sure. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine, but hey, feel free to look it up if you so feel inclined. Similarly to Love Alarm, 12 Years Promise takes place along two timelines, but unlike Love Alarm, it tells these two timelines pretty much separately. Essentially, the first half of the show is like exposition for what happens in the second half of the show. It takes place in 2002, the first half of the show, and they're all like teenagers, and then it fast forwards 12 years, hence the title, to 2014, which is the year that the show came out, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But before we get any further into the details of what the show is about, let's do our character introductions. You know the drill around here. Our main character is a young girl named Guk, who in the second half of the show goes by Dale, so when I start talking about them as adults, I will refer to her as Dale because I really like that name, and also that's what she's called through the entire second half of the show. Anyway, she is from Busan, and if I remember correctly, she's just moved to Seoul at the beginning of the show. She's just moved, but I don't remember if it takes place in Seoul or not. She's your pretty typical K-drama character, more of like your tomboyish type of character. She's kind of just doing her own thing, living her life, you know? She has a younger brother who's pretty inconsequential in the beginning of the show, and then in the second half, he's like kind of a mini dumpster fire. For reasons that we'll get into when we get to the second half of the show. I don't remember his name, so we're just gonna call him Baby Bro. She lives with her mom and her little brother. Her dad is not in her life for one reason or another. Can't tell you why, don't remember, but he's not part of their lives, so it doesn't matter. The love interest in this show is a boy named Junsu. He's not a tsundere. He's like pretty chill, honestly. He's just kind of doing his thing, you know, trying to pass his classes and make his parents happy. I think. He's just a regular teenage boy, you know? He's not doing a whole lot. He's a little dumb, but again, he's a regular teenage boy, so what do you expect? This is a joke. Anyway, there are several other side characters that are kind of important for various reasons, so I'm gonna try and establish them, but I don't remember their names, so a lot of them are just gonna have relations to our two main characters. There's a girl named Dahe, who I may refer to as Miss Girl if I forget her name. She has been best friends with Junsu for several years. Her only personality trait is that she's hopelessly in love with him and he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't know, really. It's not that he's purposely dismissing her feelings, but she never confessed that she had feelings for him, so he doesn't know that she's in love with him, but she is. And yeah, that's about all she has as far as the personality goes. And then there's a guy, he like completes their trio. I'm gonna call him best friend because I looked up their names and I couldn't find it quickly enough for me to care. So he's just gonna be best friend. I'm referring to Junsu's guy best friend. He's pretty chill. He seems pretty cool, honestly. I can't remember having any complaints about him. The only thing that I remember about him, though, is him trying to get Cook to speak in her saturi, and she wasn't with it. She was not down for the cause, which is valid, you know? My accent isn't for your entertainment or whatever, was kind of her energy about it. Junsu has an older brother who we're just gonna call Junsu's older brother, honestly. He's not super duper important, except for his connection to a character who's only relevant in the second half of the show. Her name is Hesu, but we'll get to how she gets in there when we get to the plot. All you need to know is that Junsu's older brother is connected to Hesu's existence in the second half of the show. Oh, Junsu lives with both of his parents. His life is okay. I think his parents are probably upper middle class. They live in a pretty big house. So I don't know what they do, but they make good enough money. Yeah, so that's all the characters I'm gonna bother establishing. Moving on from characters, now we're gonna go into plot. So at the beginning of the show, Guk, I'm gonna make that mistake a lot, so I might just refer to her as Dale for the whole video because that's the name I remember better. I'm really sorry, guys. Anyway, Guk/Dale and her family have like just moved into town at the beginning of the show from Busan, and her mom has this little shop of her own. The first episode is basically Cook's first day of school, pretty much. There's probably some other things that happen, but that's what I remember. Basically, she goes to school and she's looking for like the headmaster's office. I don't think they're called headmasters there, but she's looking for like the equivalent of a principal's office, and she gets lost. She's walking down the hall and she hears someone playing the flute. And side note, this song that he plays on the flute, or maybe the piccolo, you would think as someone who played the flute I would know the difference, but I haven't watched this drama in like 3 or so years, and it's no longer on Netflix, so I can't even double check. But I really do love this little piccolo song that he plays. It is my favorite part of the entire show. I've rewatched the clip of him playing this song at least 10 times, and that's why I'm mad that it's off of Netflix, because I cannot rewatch that clip anymore. It's so sad. But she hears him playing this little wind instrument piece, and she initially gets so enraptured that she just kind of stands by the door and is listening to him, and then she knocks something over, as is typical of drama characters, and alerts him of her presence, and then she tells him that she's looking for the headmaster's office, principal, whatever, and so he leads her to the principal's office, and the two of them hit it off surprisingly well from the very beginning. It's fine though. I mean, that's nice. It's a nice change, them getting along from the jump as opposed to like a slow build of a friendship. They're pretty cool. They're pretty chill. The next few episodes are mostly them establishing a friendship, and Dahae does not like her from the jump. Like, she sees her talking to Jinsu and she's like, I don't like that girl, because she's moving in on her man who's not her man but should be her man because she thinks she has some claim over him, even though she A, has not admitted to having a crush on him, B, has not made any attempts to announce that she has feelings for him, and he has shown no interest in her whatsoever. But I digress. That's not really my place to judge. She doesn't like Cook from the beginning of the show. She's not rocking with her existence. Focus. Don't you hate it when your camera goes out of focus in the middle of a sentence and you have no idea how much of the video is out of focus? Anyway, Dahae is not rocking with her from the beginning of her existence. She's like, get out of my face. And after a few episodes of Dahae being not down for the cause, but Jinsu and his best friend being totally down for the cause, the two of them come up with a plan to get the two girls to start kikiing and being friends. Because Gook isn't really bothered by the fact that Dahae doesn't like her. She's like, I mean, I guess that's her business. And honestly, girls, same. But the two guys are kind of bothered by the fact that they're not friends, although this is honestly just on Dahae's part, so y'all gotta talk to her. Anyway, it's 2002. For those of you who don't know, 2002 is the year that South Korea went to the Super Bowl, and the beginning half of this show focuses so heavily on the fact that, like, this all happens. Did I say the Super Bowl? I meant the World Cup! 2002 is the year that South Korea went to the World Cup, not the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl only exists in the US, and the rest of the world doesn't care about American football. Anyway, 2002 is the year that South Korea went to the World Cup, and the beginning half of this show focuses very heavily on that detail of South Korean pop culture history. So there's a lot of scenes that focus on soccer, and for a little while there I knew the chant that they sang during the soccer games. I might still know it, but I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, there's several episodes that talk about the World Cup, and the final round that the South Korean team was in, I don't remember if that was the semifinals or if they lost the finals, because I didn't pay attention to the World Cup in 2002. I was literally 2 years old, and this drama I haven't watched in like 3 or 4 years, so I don't remember from the episode either. Anyway, yeah, so the finals or the semifinals or something like that is happening in an episode, and the plan is for the four of them to meet up at Junsu's big ass house and watch it together, and the hope is that the girls will bond over watching their country's team play soccer. I don't know why the boys thought this is what was gonna get them to bond, but they did. And the best friend was going to actually dip in the middle of the game and leave Jinsu to patch up their relationship as though he's like a therapist. I don't know. It was a dumb plan, but they're high school boys, so what do you expect? Anyway, the four of them meet up at Jinsu's house. If I remember correctly, nobody told Dahae that Gook was gonna be there, and they might not have told Gook that Dahae was gonna be there either, but like, Gook could not have cared less. She was just down to watch the game. And Dahae stayed for a little bit, but then the best friend left, made up some excuse about forgetting he had to babysit his sister or something like that. And Dahae was not trying to be alone with the two of them, so she also dipped. And now Jinsu and Gook have been left alone. They're watching the soccer game. Things are going pretty fine. For some reason they're drinking champagne, and they're like 16, and I know that the legal drinking age in Korea is not 16, so I don't know why they were drinking, but they were drinking. They were going sip, sip, sip with their little champagne glasses, you know, downing way more champagne than I think anyone should during a soccer game. Anyway, they both ended up tipsy. I don't know if they were drunk, but they ended up tipsy. South Korea won the soccer game that they were watching, and they kissed. They got excited and they kissed. I guess this is what happens when your soccer team wins a game. I don't know. I'm not big on soccer. It's a very long game. Anyway, they got excited watching the soccer game. South Korea won, and then they ended up kissing. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then they end up, you know, doing the do. And I was like, how did we jump? And obviously they don't show it. It's a 2014 Korean drama. They're not showing anything on camera. They just kind of pan to his bedroom, and their clothes are like scattered around the floor outside of the room. And I was like, wow, that's kind of wild. All right. And after that happens, the two of them start dating. I don't remember how the conversation went, but the two of them start dating, and you know what? That's fine. That's cool. They're cute. They're having a great time. They sit at a park bench and drink banana milk a couple times. Actually, this isn't the first time this happens, but it happens a few times. It's a cute little bonding moment for them, I guess. Dahae is even more pissed now that they're dating, and Gook's family ain't super well off. I think there was an issue with her uniform or something, and Jinsu's mom told him that Dahae was getting rid of a uniform, and Jinsu got his hands on it and gave it to Gook. Dahae found out and got really pissed about it. I don't know why she cares. It was an old uniform that she didn't plan on wearing anymore anyway, because she had gotten a new one, or that one was too small, something like that. I don't know. She didn't need the uniform. She was just mad that Gook had it now. And if I remember correctly, some girls attacked her over the uniform that they said wasn't hers and she should take it off and yada yada yada. Gook got away from them, was running, and got hit by a guy on a scooter. Yeah, the way things hit left so quickly. She got hit by a scooter. She goes to the hospital where they tell her that she had a miscarriage. She didn't even know she was pregnant, but her mom was super duper disappointed in her for being unsafe, or like having sex in general, I think. Her mom was disappointed in her and went to Jinsu's parents about this when she found out that Jinsu would have been the baby daddy or whatever. Jinsu's parents took him on vacation somewhere. I don't even think they ever talked to him about the fact that he got a girl pregnant. They took him on vacation, and then Gook's mom was like, I'm sending you to the US to live with your aunt. You're too rowdy. And she went to talk to Jinsu, and he was gone, and she didn't know he was on vacation, and he wasn't answering her text messages. It was a very chaotic sequence of things happening. And then fast forward 12 years, because when Jinsu got back from vacation, he tried to go see her, and nobody would tell him what had happened to her or where she was, and she wasn't answering his text messages because they like got her a new phone and a new number when she went to America. But she didn't get to see him before she left, and he came back without knowing that she was gone, and nobody would tell him that she was gone. It was almost as though she had vanished into thin air, but her family was still there. That is the story surrounding Jinsu and Tale / Gook at this point of the show. Before we hit the 12 years later part, there's two side stories that I want to mention. One involving Gook's mom, and the other one involving Jinsu's older brother, who's kind of a disappointment to his family, but I digress. The one about Gook's mom isn't super long. Basically, she started dating a guy, and he scammed her out of a lot of money. That's it. That's all you need to know. If I remember correctly, she ends up killing him by accident by the end of this. Either she kills him, or whoever he was working with killed him. Anyway, Jinsu's older brother, at some point he decides he needs to go on a trip to find himself because he's like 30, doesn't have a job or a stable career choice of any sort, and still living with his parents, unmarried. And I know living with your parents isn't really a weird thing, especially for the older sibling, but he didn't have a job. Like, he was still super dependent. Anyway, he decides to go on a finding himself discovery trip or whatever to Jeju Island and meets a little girl named Hesu who allows him to stay with her and her dad. She's like 6, so technically she shouldn't have permission to, or she shouldn't have authority to give permission to a grown man to stay in her house, but her dad is kind of a hopeless drunk, and he finds out that her dad is a hopeless drunk, and for a while he's just kind of taken on the father figure role in her life for the week or two that he's on Jeju Island. But eventually he has to go back to the mainland. I don't really know why. He's not doing anything there anyway. But he tries to leave before Hesu wakes up for reasons that I'm unsure of. Maybe he was just too scared to say goodbye to this little girl that he got attached to or whatever. He hops on the ferry and it departs. This little child comes running down the street with her glittery backpack, screaming at him to take her with him. And I was like, oh, that's so sad. He goes back for her. I don't remember if he like immediately turned around and went back for her, or if he took another trip a little while later and went back for her. But one way or another, he ended up going back for her and brought her to the mainland, and I believe her dad as well, but like in a rehabilitation facility, and she grew up as his kid, I suppose. Anyway, those are all of the side plots that you needed to know. Fast forward 12 years later, we have adult Gook, who now goes by Dale. She cool, we love her. She's like super duper famous in America. I don't remember if she's a model or if she's famous for business or fashion. She's famous for something, okay? And she's gorgeous though. Look at her. She's so pretty, okay? And she's like a big name. She's like literally reading a magazine with her face on it at the beginning of like the first episode for the second half of the show. It's one season. It's just, if it's 16 episodes and the first 8 is exposition and the second 8 is the other whatever. They do literally half of the episodes in 2002 and then the other half in 2012. So, in the first episode in 2014, not 2012, she's on a plane reading a magazine with her face on it and kikiing with her aunt about how successful she is. At some point, her mom started a big bougie restaurant with her daughter's money. Her mom is well off now. She has a nice little bougie restaurant. It's cute, it's fun, it's fresh. Dale is coming back to South Korea to partner with a marketing company or something. A company. I don't really know what their focus is. I know they own a department store, so at the very least, they probably do something in fashion. And she goes to her first meeting with this company, and there's a presentation given by one of the guys who works there, and at the end she introduces herself, and then he introduces himself, and it's Junsu. He works for this company that she now has to collaborate with. And she accidentally curses. I don't remember if she curses in English or in Korean, but she accidentally curses and he's like, excuse me? And she tries to play it off. There's some mean girls who work at the office who are petty and dislike her because they think that she thinks she's better than them being from America, because she has other things on her mind than like kikiing with the company workers, and she kind of just minds her business, and they're all like, oh, so she's from America and thinks she's better than us, yada yada yada, this, that, and the third. Also, Jinsu immediately takes a liking to her again, despite not knowing that it's the same girl who went off grid on him back when they were teenagers. Honestly, the second half of the show is mostly Dale trying not to let anybody find out that she is in fact Gook from high school, because Junsu kind of has a thing for her, and also the best friend works security in this department store, so she interacts with them pretty frequently, and she's kind of just trying not to be exposed. I think she's like blocked off that part of her history, and also she's probably still kind of mad at Junsu because I think, as far as she knows, he ignored her when she needed him even though he wasn't in town, but he didn't tell her that he was going to be out of town. Miscommunications cause a lot of problems. All you need to take away from this summary of this show is communicate with your significant others, with your family members, with your friends. Y'all, you will solve a lot of problems if you just speak to people. Please ask questions if things don't make sense. Talk about things that are bothering you. I didn't mean for this to turn into a rant, but like, the whole second half of the show could have been avoided if they had just communicated. So, yeah. Moving on. Dahae is in medical school, or maybe she's a doctor at this point, still hopelessly in love with Jinsu. I told you, she doesn't get a personality besides having a crush on her childhood best friend and being hopelessly in love with him. It's really embarrassing, not gonna lie to you. Because I think she makes a drunk confession to him one night. And once again, she immediately doesn't like Dahae because Jinsu likes her, and she doesn't even realize it's the same person, but I think she might be the first person to figure out that they're the same person. I don't remember. I know Jinsu doesn't find out until like 2 episodes from the end, and then he gets mad because he feels like she's been lying to him this whole time, even though she did legally change her name to Dahae. There's a few times in the show where people are like, Dahae is such a weird name. Like, where did it come from? So I guess it's not common. Yeah, most of the second half is her trying not to get found out as the girl from high school because she still has grudges against Jinsu, and then he finds out that they're the same person and he's mad for a little bit, and the two of them finally have a conversation 12 years later than it should have happened. And at the end, she basically tells him that if he ever tries to leave her, she will kick his ass. And then the best friend shows up and like crashes their little lunch date or whatever. It's kind of cute. Dahae, I think, ends up bitter and alone. Who knows what the hell happens to her. Kesu has a little bit of a side story herself. That is why I told you her backstory. Kesu works at Dahae's mom's restaurant. I don't know how she got the job there, but she works there. I actually think she works for the family in general because she also makes breakfast for them. So I think she just works in the house, and so she also works in the restaurant because they live above their big bougie restaurant. And she has a desperate crush on Dahae's brother. She's so shy and soft-spoken though, and I think there are a couple times where people like attack her for it. But it's fine. She's really cute. She's really sweet. She means no harm. She babies the hell out of Dahae's brother. I guess it's because she has a crush on him, but he's like a useless log. He doesn't know how to clean. He doesn't know how to cook. He doesn't work. He like literally can't do anything for himself. And Kesu, because she works there, ends up doing it all for him anyway. And at some point he finds out that she has a crush on him, and he's really, really rude about rejecting her. I don't know what made him think that he had to be disrespectful about it, but he was disrespectful, hurt her feelings. I think at some point he tells her to like leave the house, basically, and I'm like, you don't have permission to fire her. You didn't hire her. But towards the end of the show, he like tries to apologize to her while she's visiting her dad in the hospital, and I think she realizes that she deserves better than someone who only values her when she's gone. So if I remember correctly, she doesn't end up with him, and honestly, it's what he deserves. He ain't do nothing to earn her. Anyway, this show, I don't know if I'm just forgetting all of the details or if the plot really is that simple, because a lot of the episodes that I can remember are just like bits and pieces of establishing relationship dynamic. Dramas love to do this thing where they pack like all of these details into the first episode and the last episode, and then all of the episodes in between are like 3 pieces of valuable information tops each. I don't know why. Like, y'all could space this out a little bit. Give me some breathing room, you know? Or I guess they do, and then they're like, anyway, so all that breathing room you got, yeah, use it. Boom. Anyway, regardless, I think if you can find the drama, you should watch it. It's not on Netflix in America anymore, so maybe it's on Netflix elsewhere. It's a really good show. At the very least, I recommend looking up the little piccolo piece that Jinsu plays several times in the episode. It is chef's kiss. But this has been 12 Years Promise, or Wild Chives and Soybean Soup, 12-year reunion in a nutshell. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Wait, before you go, at the end of all of my videos, I ask a question for you to drop an answer to down below in the comment section. This week's question is, what's your favorite song? I talked a lot about that little piccolo piece. I know my song changes every couple of days, or every couple of weeks, depending on the song, so just drop your current favorite. If you have a lifelong favorite, hey, go ahead and drop that too. My current favorite, as I'm filming this video, is Mama Saturn by Tanarella. But that song is also very likely to change by the time I upload this video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. This is the real ending of the video, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye.